Hello, this is Totera. This is my second video, Kill All the Things 2. I think I had some pretty good feedback on my first video. These videos are not me being an uber PvPer owning everything. It's more what typical PvP I think is like, especially in faction warfare. I am flying solo in these videos, in this series of videos. In my first video I flew with Tristan. In this video I am flying a bit more sophisticated ship, the Slicer. The Slicer is a Navy faction ship, and I have fitted it with a armor repair for a little bit of tank, but not much, micro warp drive, warp disruptor 2, and pulse lasers, and some speed mods. The main point of this ship is it can hit out to 23 plus 3 kilometers for a Scorch. So it's fast. It does good damage out to the 24 kilometer point range. It's probably the best kiting frigate in the game, and it also has the advantage of switching ammos quickly, so you can put in short range ammo real quick if you need to. Its main disadvantage is a very weak tank, and tracking disruption completely messes up this ship. It's basically a one-trick pony. If you get caught, you die. So I don't have much experience flying the ship, so as I started flying it, it was a bit of a learning experience. Here is one of my first engagements. I am fighting against a Republic Fleet Firetail, which is a ship I personally love. They're often equipped with tracking disruptors. It's similar to a Slicer as far as cost and stuff. However, they're generally more of a short-range ship versus a Slicer being a kiter. This particular one I'm up against is a bit odd fit. It doesn't have a tracking disruptor, which is very common for the ships, and it's fit with a micro warp drive, which is less common. So I managed to mess everything up during this fight. You may notice I'm not doing any damage. I'm shooting, I've got him pointed, I'm orbiting him at range. I'm doing everything right as far as orbiting, and keeping out of range, and pointing him, but I'm using short range ammo, which is kind of silly. It takes me a little while playing around to figure out why I'm not doing any damage, and I quickly switched to Scorch. Unfortunately, I switched to Scorch just about the time he catches me, since, again, I'm not really doing all that great job, and he is similarly fast micro warp drive fit ship. So he catches me. As I switch to Scorch, I start doing damage to him, and he points me, scrams me, webs me, shuts off my micro warp drive, and has caught me pretty good. Meanwhile, we use a pull-off capacitor, just shooting short-range ammo at short range. So anyways, I switch back to short-range ammo, start pounding into him. He, fortunately, is not equipped with a tracking disruptor, so I'm still able to hit him, and much to my surprise, I think I'm dead at this point. I'm running out of cap. I'm significantly damaged, getting more damage than him. But fortunately for me, and rather luckily, I think I landed a couple good hits, and I smash him and I kill him. Very close fight, not very well fought on my part. He should have won it. A Condor of his warps in 100 kilometers away, but it's too far to affect the fight, and I get out of there. Not a very satisfying fight, but I learned a few lessons, particularly about different types of ammo for MR. So here's a fight. This one is pretty much ideal. I land on these two ships, a Merlin and an Incursus. They're fighting each other. The Merlin quickly drops. I lay a shot off at him, and then I concentrate on the Incursus. I start off doing everything right. I'm orbiting him at range. I'm hitting him with a long-range ammo, and he can't seem to catch me. Overloading my point, I'm able to, even if he swings me out past 24 kilometers, I still don't lose point, and I've got him. I've got him exactly where I want him. Could not be better. He's already got damage. He's probably already running out of cap boosters, and I'm wailing away at him doing damage. He is, of course, tanking me. He's an Incursus. He's got very strong active tank, but active tanks can't run forever. Unfortunately for me, I still make a bunch of mistakes here. In this case, I think, hey, he's going down. I'm having a little bit of difficulty with cap. I'm starting to run out of cap, firing, running the micro warp drive, running the point, running the Tech 2 ammo and the guns. My main concern is I'm going to run out of cap before this fight's over. He's tanking pretty good, but I see he's bleeding into structure. I think he's going down, so hey, let's approach him, let's get caught by him, and let's finish him off. Really bad idea. This is not I'm used to flying ships with fall off. This ship does just as much damage at 20 kilometers as it does at 2 kilometers, unless I switch ammo. So really, really bad idea. I'm now, unfortunately for me, now he's caught me. He's scrammed me, shut off my micro-warp drive, and I'm not going anywhere. His high damage ammo is blasting into me, and his ability to tank me, my damage actually goes down, partly because I switched the time it takes to switch it to conflagration ammo, the short range ammo, plus my tracking is now no longer so good. So he's wailing, causing me damage. I'm not giving him as much damage, and he's tanking it, and my tank is pretty much zero, especially since I've now run out of cap. Very unsatisfying fight. He doesn't matter of time now before he kills me. So I was a bit concerned about my fit at this point. I decided to modify my fit to the one I showed earlier, where I have a rig for more capacitor as opposed to a damage rig. The advantage being that I can now, with the new fit, which I'll be using in the future, I can run everything for about 3 minutes instead of 2 minutes, which my old fit could handle, which makes a huge difference, especially against long drawn-out battles. So let's see how it goes. Here I am in Faction War. Using D-Scan, I find someone at Plex, at Tristan, at a small Plex. I modify my D-Scan so I can see everything around me when I land. I find that's very useful, and I see there's a retribution as well. Not really sure what's happening, but it appears that the Tristan now bugs off, so it's just the retribution. It takes me a couple seconds to think about this. I probably could have gauged them on the gate, but instead I decided to activate the gate and engage them within the Plex. And Retribution is a very tough Amarr laser frigate, and it takes me a few seconds to decide if I want to take this fight or not. I do want to take this fight. I should be a lot faster than him. I should have better range than him. Although I won't do as much damage. If I'm at range, I should be doing more damage. This is a good fight for me. So I quickly burn out the range. Again, I'm just getting used to this ship, so it takes a little bit more time sometimes. And it's better to run away than get in a fight where I don't really know what I'm doing, as I demonstrated before. Anyways, he follows me into the Plex. I start to orbit him. A little bit too far away since I'm still just sizing things up, but then I eventually decide to go in for it. Once he locks me up and starts aggressing me, I know that this fight is for real. I do a lot better on this fight. I'm successful at keeping at the proper ranges. I'm basically able to hit him with my lasers, and he can't hit me with his lasers. That is the ideal situation. One of the main things in EVE is, one of the most satisfying things in EVE is be doing damage to someone who can't do damage back to you. And that's what this ship is all about. Whether it be CM, tracking disruption, or kiting, my ability to do damage at range, I'm using that to my advantage, and he's really got no chance. It's a much tougher ship he has, much more damage, much better tank. But my speed and range give me the advantage here, and I slowly, it takes a while to burn through his armor and stuff, but I slowly burn him down and kill him. My main concern at this point is not to lose him and not to get caught. He is going to try to slingshot me. He appears to be micro-warp drive fit because he does go up to near 2,000 meters per second. But by keeping a range and playing around with stuff, I managed to keep it fairly tight. Really smart of me to overload my point. That way he can't get away, even if he slingshots out of range, which I think happens a couple of times. So he can't get away, and I eventually take him down. Good fight, one of my first successes with this slicer. Very happy about that. So my next fight is a little different. I'm up against a Breacher. A Breacher is a Tech 1 ship, unlike the Retribution, which was Tech 2, so it should really be an easy fight for a for the Navy faction ship I'm flying, but Breacher is a very challenging ship. It has a bonus to shield boosting. As you can see, his ancillary shield boosting is pretty much restoring a third of his shields every shot. Not quite as much as I'd expect, but it's doing pretty good. So I have him pointed. I have him micro-warp drive. He has me pointed, and he's micro-warp driving around. So we're doing the same basic idea. He's got long-range weapons. I have long-range weapons. he can probably shoot 40 kilometers, I can shoot 20 kilometers, but in point range, the extra 20 kilometers doesn't matter so much. And then disaster happens. A slasher shows up on field, his slasher has tracking disruption. As soon as I see tracking disruption, I know this fight's over. I have to either get out or die. So I quickly overload my micro warp drive and get out. Tracking disruption completely messes up the slicer. I have pretty poor tracking to begin with, so if he does tracking speed script, I'm not going to be out tracking anything. And if he does a range disruption, then I have to fight within scram range, and again, I don't want to get caught. So I motor out of there. Good fight and all. It's just the way it ended. So here I am landing on another Faction Warfare Plex. There's an Atron with me. Just happens to be landing the same time going after a breacher that we've both seen. I overload everything and I land. Now, when you warp on these situations, you never know if you're going to land at 0 on the guy or if he's going to have powered away. In this case, I landed at 0. So the most important thing I can do now is get the heck out of dodge. He scrams me, he points me, shuts up my micro warp drive, and starts slowing me down. Fortunately, I have enough momentum, since I'm very aggressive on the micro warp drive activation, I managed to just slip out of his scram range and turning off his scrambler and into his overloaded web range. So by basically turning everything up to 9, I managed to just squeeze out from him, and then I've got my range. He is short range fit, that's why he sat at 0 on the Plex. So once I got out into that 12 to 24 kilometer range, he's not able to do damage to me, and I am able to do damage to him. The ideal situation, he can't get away because he's pointed. The Atron is also helping here a little bit, but it doesn't matter. I have him exactly where I need to have him, and he's going to go down. I do lose point for a second. I think the Atron may have helped me by scrambling him, or not scrambling him, by pointing him as well, but it doesn't matter. I get it back on real quick, and he goes down. That's how I want to execute these fights. So my next fight is, let's see what it is. Oh, it's against Kestrel. Kestrel is a missile ship. Again, it's like the Breacher, except it does more damage and doesn't have as much speed. I land in a really good spot here. I'm about 12 kilometers away, so I'm no risk of being scrammed. And I quickly establish the range. I want to orbit him. Again, 12 to 24 kilometers. He can't point me. He can't scram me. He can point me, but he can't scram me. He can't shut off my micro warp drive. And I'm able to just peck away at him until he dies. Perfect situation. He a couple times tries to shoot rockets at me, but he knows it's pretty useless. Not with me out at this range. So somebody might criticize me. I'm going after talking about killing T1 ships in my faction ship, but in faction warfare, this faction ship, the Slicer, is very vulnerable to T1 ships. If you get caught by anything, you die. So even if it's a Rifter, you can die to it. So I still enjoy these fights. Again, I've got him at the perfect range. He can't do anything to me, and he dies. Good fights and all. So my third fight is against a Hookbill. Hookbill is a big trouble kind of ship for me because it's a faction ship like mine, and he can either be fed various ways, including at range, in close range, short range. He could have a bunch of EOR. Often they're fit with scram and 2 webs, so they can completely shut you down, or tracking disruptions, very popular on them. In this case, he's gone with the target painter, which sort of makes sense in that it allows his missiles to do more damage than they might otherwise, but I don't think it's really necessary. So I point him, I start shooting at him, and I start orbiting him at the range that I want to be at. He's micro warp drive fit. He doesn't seem to be doing a very good job at slingshotting me. He does get me out of point range, but I do quickly get an overloaded point onto him again, and I should keep that overload going. I think I may actually turn it off at some point for some reason. But anyways, I'm doing more damage to him than he's doing to me. He doesn't seem to have very much of a tank, and I take him out pretty quick. Good fight all. Hookbills are nasty ships. When their multitude of E-War means they can do lots of things. While coming through the system, while leaving that system, I came across a Merlin just sitting off gate. Here you can see the capsule of the hookbill I just killed. Anyways, this Merlin just sitting off gate. He's, got a suspect flag, so I go after him. Why not? Again, same thing. Merlins are very tough cookies in that they've got lots of EWAR slots. If I get close to him and he catches me, he can really mess me up. But typically they use their mid slots for tank. And in this case, I've got him good. He should be powering back to the gate to try and escape, but instead he's not, which is a mistake. He's basically at that perfect range where I can use my lasers and whittle him down while he can't do anything to me. He does have a bonus to range on his blasters, but they're blasters, so they can't really shoot that far, and you rarely see a rail fit Merlin. While doing this, a Catalyst and a Caracal land. I decide to risk it and finish off this Merlin, watching very carefully to see if that Catalyst and Caracal aggress me and get close enough to cause me a problem. If they start powering towards me, I'd probably have started to run away. Instead, they didn't pose a threat, so I motor off, running away with tail between my legs. Catalysts are very powerful short-range ships, and Caracals can, with missiles, can do a lot of damage to me as well. So here's on my next fight. This is the last fight I'm going to show you. It's against a Vengeance, a T2 Amar frigate that uses rockets. Very tough ships. Well, probably the toughest tank frigates in the game. But they're limited to short-range weapons. The bonus, I believe, only applies to rockets. So it's sort of an ideal ship for me to fight if I can get away from being pointed and scrammed when they land. They have only 2 mid slots, so he can really only do a scram on me. But if he scrams me, I'm dead. Again, overload the micro-warp drive, turn everything up to 9, get the heck out of there before he can land a scram. I'll later find out he does have a scram, but he doesn't quite get it on me in time. And my priority is to get away. Once I'm away, reestablish the orbit, point him, and start chipping away at him. He is micro-warp drive fit, which is, I think, a little odd, but it allows him to try and slingshot me either to within scram range or to get out of point range. He does it reasonably successful getting out of point range. I should probably be overloading my warp disruptor, but it's okay. Most of my concentration is going to approaching him, backing away from him, establishing an orbit, basically trying to keep him in sort of 17, 18 kilometers right in the middle of that 12 to 24 kilometer range. He starts powering away. Gets a little bit of range on me. I have a little of challenge trying to point him again. I get an overloaded point onto him, so he isn't able to get away, and then I'm able to finish him down. Overloading a point is really useful. Turning it off isn't. Fortunately, I don't think he noticed until it was too late, because he's, of course, trying to slingshot me. He's not paying 100% attention. So, yeah, I should just leave that thing overloaded. And I whittle away on him after. It's really only a matter of time. The question is, do I have enough time? Will I run out of cap? Will I burn out my micro-warp drive? Will I burn out my point before I break through his massive tank? Anyways, I do. I think he runs out of cap at some point. He can't run his repper very much anymore, and he slowly but surely starts going down. Really helped that I started having more capacitor after that change to my fit. And he does take a long time to go down, being a Vengeance. So I would like to thank everyone for watching this second video of mine. I'm really enjoying making these. My first video had some good responses, and I'm trying to tailor my videos to what some of those responses were. And he finally goes down. Yay. If you want to find out more about me, I have a blog called scramweb.blogspot.ca. You can also talk to me on my in-game channel, which I just set up, called ScramWeb. As well, I will be posting more of these YouTube videos. You can find them on my YouTube channel. ISK donations are always appreciated. I received 100 million ISK from my last video, which was wonderful. I really enjoyed that. And I'd like to thank basically CCP, Agony and Leech, which helped teach me a lot, and everyone who wants to get in a fight. Also, a guy called Black Market Arts for the inspiration for the artwork you see behind you. So thank you very much. I really enjoyed this. Bye.